While we're on the subjects of jobs, your stand, like we were just talking about, on public jobs seems to differ greatly from Mr. Walsh's. And how so? Explain that. I mean, well, you did in a kind of a roundabout way, but specifically, how do you guys are so opposite?
Well, I believe that if you make Will County the most desirable place to do business, then you have a choice of what businesses that come. I remember back in the 90s when I came here, unfortunately the city of Joliet was going through some tough times. They welcomed anybody and anything. I think if we look back now, had we been the most desirable with people knocking at the door, maybe we wouldn't have all the intermodals. Maybe we wouldn't be the transportation center of the United States. Maybe we would. But I think that if you have different models to look at. You can look at corporate headquarters, Fortune 500 companies. As I told you, I'm a grandfather, and when I sent my kids to college, I wanted them to come home. Unfortunately, the jobs that they wanted weren't here. We need to attract businesses that attract our children to come home. We need to attract businesses that attract professionals. And we need to attract these businesses so that our union construction workers have work. And you don't attract those companies by being for a gas tax, by being for a grocery receipts tax, for being for increased impact fees, for putting 50% mandatory set-asides in development projects. I mean, that stifles growth. Right now, one of the big issues from the realtors in Will County are that we can't get people to build houses because the county executive's office, through the land use department, has put together a 50% requirement for open spaces. Now, I understand that we need to protect open spaces, but that's a very difficult situation. At the same time, I talked to the county board members and asked them if they would abate a brand new impact fee, which is on top of the existing impact fees for new development, both commercial and residential. Absolutely stifle growth in Will County. The last thing we need to do is stifle growth in Will County right now. We need our people back to work. I don't know if you saw the unemployment results that just came out yesterday or not, but we have right now 6.8% unemployment rate in Illinois. It's the highest, it's higher than in the United States, and it's the highest rate in Illinois since 1993. Now, the last thing we need to do, now this is what I'm talking about, being in touch with people. People need jobs. They need to pay their mortgages. They need to be able to go to and from work. And here we've got an administration that's increasing impact fees, increasing the cost of land for developers to buy it so that they can build houses, is for the grocery receipts tax, is for a gas tax. That doesn't promote what I believe is a good environment for businesses to come here, create jobs, and get our economy going. Those are the differences.
Let me ask this question. There is a great flux in this county between older residents who've been here for generations and certainly newer residents who have come from the different counties, mainly from Cook County, and have taken advantage of housing and everything else. But now with the housing crunch, some of their dreams, they seem to have just flown away, and the ones who've been here forever, they sit on the side and say, "I told you so, I told you so." We should have done. We should have constricted, the building a little bit slower than race at it. It seems to differ a little bit from what you're saying, though. On the one hand, we need the jobs here. There is no doubt about that. We are getting killed just in residents getting in their cars every day and spending an inordinate amount of money in the tank, and it's eating up their food costs and everything else. And I have to believe that you're right, jobs are important. But on the other hand, we have this other set of opinion about how fast do we grow, and nobody seems to think about growth in the terms of businesses. We always think of terms of growth in population, because it seems like the norm is population brings business. And I'm not so sure that's the case, but I'll let you jump in there if you want.
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's controlled, managed growth. We have got to be careful. The growth will come. It's the quality of the growth. A perfect example is here in Plainfield when 355 used to dump its traffic into 55. You saw exactly what happened. Now we built 355 extension over to 80. Guess what? You know, it's exactly the same scenario 10 years later. Now, how many times do you have to empty a 4-lane road into a 2-lane road to figure out that you need to create an alternative? These are the same guys that have been around for year after year after year. Now, if we extended another 10 miles, are we going to then create a nightmare for those residents? I mean, this isn't rocket science. It's prudent management. It's long-term thinking. If you're going to think election cycle to election cycle, you're not thinking properly. If you're going to think long-term, 10 years out, 15 years out, what does this do to the community? What's this do to Will County? That's what we're talking about. Corporations and boards can't have yo-yo cycles of revenue. We have to think long-term, strategic planning, and then operate every day to execute that plan.
And that plan, it has to be not just a county initiative, it has to be, or would you agree, it has to be in concert with our local municipalities?
Absolutely. And that's why I reached out to the mayors and city managers. They have to be a part of this. There's too much that depends on each other. There's too much interworking. There are too many things that we need to and should be talking about together. And quite frankly, there's just a lack of that.